subscribe.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to yet another episode of Raising Boons. And again, as usual, I just want to thank everybody for all of their support. The numbers aren't quite as good as when I first started, but I'm not going to be put off because, you know, what do you achieve by giving up? Obviously, fuck all, because you've given up. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to add a new feature, seeing as I'm talking about parenting and whatnot, and I am a dad. I thought it'd be quite apt to maybe start the episodes off with a dad joke. So, without further ado, here is the first Raising Boons dad joke. And it goes like this. What does James Bond's doorbell sound like? Dong. Ding. Dong. Hopefully they'll get better than that. They might not, because, you know, they're dad jokes. They're designed to be a little bit shit, but enough to make you go and as long as it does that, it's worked. Alright? So, this episode is going to all be about illness. And I think that's quite apt because of the week I've had and previous experiences with both of my boys now being ill. Mainly Travis, as he's older and he's had a lot more illnesses. But yeah, it's been quite apt because maybe you can tell I'm a little bit nasally still, and I've felt like a bag of spanners for the past week or so after getting over an illness that really did knock me for six. But I can't complain, you know. I'm still here, I'm still alright, I'm still at work. And alright, I'm recording this at work. I would like to add, before anybody at work does see it, I am on my break, alright? I get a half an hour break. So as long as this video is less than half an hour, nobody can moan, alright? So, illness. Now, you can't expect to go through life with nobody getting ill. You know, the common cold, it's called the common cold for a reason, because it's quite common, you know. And if this was, again, a game that we were playing and you were to collect items or weapons or something like that, common is regularly found. Legendary, epic, all of those rares, things like that are a lot harder to come by. Unfortunately, the common cold is incredibly common and goes round and spreads like the fucking wildfire or plague. I mean, not as extreme as the plague, granted, but, you know, you are going to get it. You are going to get ill. And yesterday, my mother's side of the family, we all went to Henley-on-Thames, and it was lovely. You know, it was picturesque. Considering it's February, we really did have some really nice fucking weather, you know. There weren't a cloud in the sky. It got up to about 16 degrees. It was lovely. We were walking along the River Thames, went up and looked at the lock, had fish and chips by the river, and this was all because that's where my grandma was from. So that's where she grew up. So we took grandma back, and it could potentially be her last visit, if not one of her last visits, because unfortunately grandma, she's always been quite a sickly lady, unfortunately, since I was a kid. She got meningitis before I was around. That really knocked her for six, but she survived. She ended up getting diabetes off the back of it, which isn't nice. And then just all the other aches and pains and arthritis and all sorts, bless her. She's not had the best of innings, but she's never let it bother her. Unfortunately, now she has got dementia and isn't the same grandma that I remember from being little, but she's still grandma, you know. She's still got her little quirks and things like that, and we all love her to pieces. And she's the glue that holds us all together. So it will be hard when she goes, but you know, she won't want us to mourn and things like that. She won't want us to be sad. She'll want us to celebrate. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Anyway, it was nice. We went, you know, and the reason I'm bringing this up as well is because, unfortunately, from my little family, my little soldiers couldn't make it because they're all ill, and quite badly ill as well. Harrison's probably the worst out of all of us. So Kirsty stayed behind and looked after the boys and things like that, and I was able to go and enjoy what was a lovely day. But yeah, this leads me on, like I said, illness. It's all linked. You see, I try and link it as best I can. So obviously Harrison is really quite poorly. Again, it's only like a cold, I hope. But yeah, he's like really phlegmy, and at that age, because he's 7 months, nearly 8 now, nearly 8 months, and that's flown. But he's at that age that they're obviously not fully aware of how to clear it and things like that. You know, they can't blow their nose, and they mainly just sort of swallow it all. And they're very. We learned through Travis that babies are predominantly nose breathers. It's very, very rare that you'll have a mouth breathing baby, and they'll predominantly breathe through their nose. In rare cases, you will have mouth breathers, and that usually means it comes along with a lot of health complications, i.e. their mood, their development, and things like that, which is what we potentially thought Travis had. And we are kind of under the doctor's Kettering, I think it is. He's got to go and get some equipment sorted out in March, I believe. We've got to have some training, and they're going to hook it up to him at night and monitor his breathing and things like that. So yeah, it can, like, that's something you really need to look into. If you think that your baby or child is breathing through their mouth, you need to get that looked at. We didn't think anything of it, and if you look back through like the pictures we've got of him asleep, 9 times out of 10 he was, you know, mouth open, sleeping a bit like that, you know. So yeah, look at that. So Harrison, like I said, is quite poorly with it, and you know yourself, bedtime and things like that, when you're poorly, it's when it gets worse and you get all bunged up. So sleeping's been difficult, and it'll you know, it always happens with the kids. Whenever they're poorly, their sleeping goes out the window, their food goes out the window. Well, in his case, he's actually got hungrier, and that's something Grandma always used to say to us, was you feed a cold and you starve a fever. Starve a fever, not a feeder. So I think that's why Harrison seems to be eating a lot more recently, but the bottles he's not too keen on. Obviously, when you want to breathe through your mouth and you're sucking on a bottle and you can't because you're all bunged up, it does obviously make it quite challenging. So I can understand why his bottles have cut down, but then as a result of that, it makes him miserable. It all just links and just ends up one big fucking domino effect where everybody just gets miserable, because obviously the baby's miserable, so you try and give him a lot of attention because he's not well and things like that, and you understand that. As a result, Travis's attention sort of dwindles out, so it's not balanced anymore. It's kind of 60-40, 70-30 maybe, which is obviously going to be the case because Travis is dependent, but Harrison isn't. So Travis then gets upset, and Travis is poorly as well, so he's not eating properly, and when he's not eating properly, his mood deteriorates, and then Kirsty and I get each other. It's so much fun, and this is something you have to appreciate. But you've also got to look at the bigger picture. We appreciate that we've got to be more patient because they're poorly, and obviously when you're poorly yourself, your patience is very thin, so it's easier said than done, but we are aware of it and we do try. Fresh air is obviously fantastic for them. We're getting them out and about. Kirsty's very good. She's got into a very good routine recently of getting up early doors, getting them fed, getting them out of the house, go for a walk. Harrison then likes to walk. He seems to fall asleep regularly, which I've touched upon, so that's good. Travis gets to run around at the park. Everyone's a winner, you know. It's good for everybody. It's good for Kirsty's mental health. It's fantastic. It's great for everyone. I just wish I could be there to join in. But we did get a little trip into the park yesterday when I got back from Henley, so that was nice. Took little Nova for a little runabout, our English bulldog. She's doing really well considering the state she was in when we rescued her. She was skin and bone and really underweight, lots of sores, not very well looked after and maintained, all like the folds in her face because she's all like squish face, kind of like this with loads of folds. Yeah, appreciate you can't see that on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever, but if you have a look, it's quite a funny face. It's just all little squish face like this. So yeah, we've nurtured her. She loves a walk, so it's nice, you know. It's nice. Winston can't really go on the big walk since he's had his unfortunate nut operation, where he's still a man, but he just doesn't have his balls, so he's a bit less of a man. But he still shouldn't really exercise too much just yet. So yeah, the illness thing is hard, and we're quite fortunate, at least with Harrison, that he's alright at taking medicine from the syringe, whereas Travis started off good with that, but then where his fussy eating came into play, he would not take it off of the syringe or off a spoon. So what we found with that, and a lot of the lads at work always used to tell me as well, they used to call it pink milk. Obviously, for those of you who don't know, or maybe not from this country, I don't know if you guys have it, but we have cowpole, which is like a very pinky kind of purple liquid form of paracetamol. And we just draw up what we needed to with Travis and put it in his bottle, which was great. However, sometimes when he was really bad, he wouldn't take a bottle, and this was when it was very bad, because they'd give us antibiotics and things like that, but he wouldn't take it orally. But a lot of the stuff they give is oral, so that's been a constant battle. So if he doesn't take it in his milk, we do struggle very much. He gets to the, like, even if you like try and force it, he just spits it out, and it's like, that's hard. That is very hard. We've tried things like putting it in yogurts, like the little pots of fromage frais. Doesn't matter which ones, anyone's, anything like that. Something that he will like eat and that we can put it into, and it does still work. It really does. Granted, they may not get the full dose if they don't drink a full bottle or something like that, but we found we'd just reduce the bottle size. And what I also found was the crafty little bugger would taste it, especially as you get older, and go, there's medicine in here. So thanks to old Mary Poppins, with the old spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. Tell you what, you put a little bit of sugar in with your milk and your cowpole or your Nurofen, whatever, whisk it all about, bosh. Alright? And again, you do these sort of things to make it work as a parent, because you know he needs to take that medicine, and if he doesn't, his mood's not going to improve. He's going to be poorly for longer, you know, and with antibiotics, he might need it, and it, you know, it's really important. We're lucky that one of the ones, I can't remember what it is, but one of the antibiotics he has, or has had, is like a banana flavour, and he doesn't seem to mind that. But again, things like that, we've just found it's easier if we can get it in his milk. He loves his milk, bless him. Not so much now, but now he's older and he doesn't have his bottles, he's a lot better at taking medicine, and I think he does understand now. He links the fact that it will make him feel better, whereas before I don't think he quite made the link. And I used to try and bribe him with all sorts, you know. Come on, have this tiny little 5 ml of antibiotic that doesn't taste very nice, and I'll take you to buy a toy. You can have any toy you want, you know. And like, it's still like, nah. And he's so into his toys. So we're fortunate at the moment that Harrison will just take things popped in his mouth. Granted, you got to go real easy with it, because babies, especially at that age when they're weaning and things like that, they'll chew it, but a lot of it still comes out the mouth. So you've got to be really delicate on the old syringe, just slowly with him. And he does take it. Bless him. He's doing really well with his eating and stuff, which is really good. So yeah, that's nice. Hopefully, long may that continue. But the medicine thing and the illness thing is quite a scary time when they're ill, especially when they're teeny tiny. And what we had with Travis, and we've had a little bit with this with Harrison as well, but not as bad. But what we had with Travis, we noticed when he got ill, like a cold and things like that, he'd get croup. Now, I don't understand what croup is. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not a doctor. I'm not medically trained like Kirsty or something like that. And I don't want to get the facts wrong, because I've got a couple of the medical facts wrong as well, where I said that Kirsty's innards were out on a tray and things like that, and I had to correct it in the description. All I know is it's something to do with their breathing, and they sound like a weird, like, seal kind of trying to bark, and they obviously can't breathe properly. It's kind of like a but I mean, not quite, because I'm not a seal and I'm not croupy, but yeah, it's a weird, you know, if you hear it, you know, you think, that doesn't sound good, and it sounds very scary. So some things we've learned from this, you need to get a medicine called Dex. Now, if you live in the UK, what we were told is if you 111, if you call 111 rather than 999. I mean, if it's really bad and they're really young, then you can call 999, especially if you're on your own and things like that. And they will come out and assist you, which is fantastic. And they've always got there very quick, and I've been very grateful. If they're not quite as bad and it's not your first occasion, you can call 111, and they'll sort of send out a first responder, who they often carry the thing that you need. It's called Dex, short term. I can't remember what the long medicinal the actual scientific name is, but they'll give him like this antibiotic type treatment called Dex, and it is a medicine in liquid form. And as you can tell already, like I've said with Travis, that was very difficult, but we found once he took that, he was a lot better. But it is very scary, and I remember the first time I had to deal with that, Kirsty was at work. She was working a night shift, and I dealt with that on my own. I was shit scared, but I dealt with it in the end, and we got there, and Travis was all right. But yeah, it was very scary indeed, because you think they can't breathe, and obviously you know yourself, oxygen is key to life. You know, we need it to survive, and when your child is visibly struggling, and the other thing you notice as well, if you pull their top up, like all their chest and stuff's like recessing and dipping in and things like that, and it's really quite distressing and scary. Something else we learned, and you can either buy from places like Home Bargains and things like that, you can buy like almost cheap nebulizers that you just put hot water in, like produces steam, and you put it over their face, like a little mask, and they can breathe it in, and that can help clear them out. However, again, when they're like that, it can be quite distressing because they're panicking and things like that. The other thing you can do, and we're quite fortunate with this, we've not got the biggest of bathrooms, and we always sort of moan about it, but actually in the bigger picture, when things like this happen, it's great because you can shut the doors, you put your shower on full heat and just let it run, and then the room, even with like bigger bathrooms, it will work, it will just take a bit longer, but just sit in that room with them, and the steam is really good for them, and it helps clear it. It's another good way of clearing it. So if they are really struggling to sort of take that in and clear their sinuses and whatnot, that's another good thing you can do, especially if you're waiting for medical attention to arrive. And obviously Travis has always struggled with his breathing, like I said, mouth breather and whatnot, so it's always been more Travis that has needed this and benefited from this than Harrison. However, where Harrison's been poorly the last few weeks, there's been a couple of times where we've taken him for a walk and then he wakes up and he sounds very croupy, but he's never been as bad as Travis. When Travis has had it, he's had to have the medication to clear it and make him better. Whereas Harrison, touch wood, he's had it, sounded like it a couple of times, and the worst time was a couple of days ago, and we were able to just do the shower technique and he was fine. And it doesn't visibly and emotionally affect Harrison like it does Travis. Travis can get very upset and, you know, quite irate and panicky, whereas Harrison has sort of dealt with it a bit more. Yeah, he's upset, but he calms down a lot quicker, and like I said, the steamy shower really helped and benefited his breathing from it. Usually when he wakes up, he wants a bottle, we put a bit of Calpol in the bottle, and he's right as rain. He either goes back to sleep or he's his usual happy self. So yeah, your experiences are going to be different depending on how many kids you have. Not one kid's the same. This is why us humans are fantastic and so unique and so superb, you know. So it's nice that they've, okay, yeah, clearly breathing must be some sort of weird issue that we have, whether it's through me or Kirsty, I don't know. But yeah, we've luckily learned how to deal with it with Travis. I know the signs to look out for, but that first initial time, it is scary. It is scary, and if you're on your own, it is good to ring 111, and they will talk you through it. And like I said, in very serious situations, and most of it is because it's to do with your breathing, just 999 it if you have to. They're fantastic. You may feel a bit silly doing it, because I did, but they're there to help, and that's what, at the end of the day, that's what we pay national insurance for and things like that, you know. That's why we contribute to the NHS. I won't go into that too much because I could go on about that all day long, but yeah, that's what they're there for, and they love to help, you know. And I think if that was me in that role, I'd like to help, and I'd like to see the benefit, especially when it's like a little baby or a toddler or something like that, you know. So yeah, don't be embarrassed or anything like that. If you need them, call them, okay. They've always been wicked with me and with us as a family, so yeah, they're great. They are great, and they're doing their job at the end of the day, and fair play to them, because they deserve a medal. They deserve to be on the serious money. Anyway, I digress. Yeah, I digress. So yeah, illness, it's going to happen. Touch wood, we've not had any broken bones or anything like that. We've got a few bumps and bruises, especially because we've got boys. I think that's more likely. I don't know because I haven't got girls, but I'd imagine, because I know what I was like as a boy, climbing things and falling off things and just generally being clumsy, which anyone could be clumsy, but my boy Travis especially seems quite clumsy, so fair play to him. But I remember often being told by my gramps at that age, "Oh, you're so clumsy," you know. But you'd laugh it off, didn't you? It's part of growing up, bruises and things like that, cuts and stuff. And in my eyes, if he's not getting cuts and bruises as a little boy, he's not doing it right. You know. He's very active, and that's wicked. I love that about him. I do love that. He does get nosebleeds quite a lot, and nosebleeds can be quite scary, and that's something else that we are under the hospital about. They gave us this awesome cream that you have to put up his nose, and I thought he'd freak because he can get a bit funny with things like that, but no, he's done really well with that, and his nosebleeds have calmed down a lot. Like, Travis used to get them so bad, he'd wake up in the night, and Travis likes to go to bed with a muzzy, you know, a little muslin blanket. It just sounded like I said Muslim. That's not what they're called. He goes to bed with one of them, and he like chews the corners and things like that to comfort him, and he's done it since he was little. And we'd come into him, he'd be crying, we'd come into him, and it'd like almost be covered in blood, almost like he'd had a smack in the mouth, well, on the nose. So yeah, that was quite strange, and we obviously done our research and realised that it could all be linked with his breathing and the mouth breathing and things like that. So yeah, we're like I said, we're under the hospital. They gave us this cream. The cream has helped massively, no doubt. He still gets nosebleeds, and he can get them quite bad. And I think some of those ones that he gets now are more commonly to do with his finger up his nose, which again, what child doesn't do that? However much we try and encourage him not to. So yeah, this cream, I don't know what it was, but it was fantastic. You can get it if they are getting a lot of nosebleeds. Again, just speak to your doctors and whatnot, and they will sort it. So yeah, I've managed to get it, this episode done, ironed out, smashed out, bosh, 22 minutes. It's quite good for me. I personally, as you can tell, can talk and talk and talk, and I quite like it. Like I said, it's quite good for me to vent and get it off my chest. So I will try and keep it short, but as I've just started to wrap up, obviously I've thought of something else. So something else that Travis has also had is tonsillitis. He's had that a couple of times, more than a couple of times, to be honest. He's got that quite bad. I had my tonsils out when I was younger. Kirsty still has hers, and even Kirsty can get it quite a lot. I don't know whether they do tend to take your tonsils out. I think that Travis would benefit from it, and touch wood, he hasn't had it in a long time, but when he gets it bad. Something, again, that I should have touched upon with all of this, and when they're all bunged up and poorly, sore throat, things like that, they don't want to drink, and then obviously that's when it's danger zone. You could end up in hospital with a drip and all the rest of it. Again, something that the paramedics and the hospital staff and stuff have told us is, okay, he might not drink water, fair enough, but get ice lollies down him, which again, you wouldn't even consider it. I didn't, but they're predominantly frozen and made up of fluids. If you have to give them 2 or 3, 4 ice lollies in a day while they're poorly, you know, jelly and ice cream never used to go amiss when I was poorly as a kid, and a bit of Lucozade. So what's wrong with giving them some ice lollies, ice pops? You can get them cheap enough. My boys love the old fruit pastel lollies, you know, like the traffic light ones, but have got more colours. The rainbow lollies, as my boy calls them. Things like that are wicked for, one, they're happy, it's cold, it's soothing, it must be really nice on the throat, and they're getting in fluids, you know. Granted, it's not loads, but it's better than no fluids whatsoever. So in situations like that, you know, you sacrifice the fact that, oh, they're not getting proper food, and oh, it's not part of his diet, and oh, there's not a lot of sugar in them. Some of them is no added sugar. You know, you can get ones. The end of the day, get whatever you need and get fluids in them, because that's the most important thing, and that's what's going to keep them, hopefully, out of hospital. So yeah, that's my sort of illness adventure. So everyone again is different, and some people may think it's nothing, you know, there's some real serious injuries out there and illnesses and whatnot, and yeah, there are, and it could happen at any moment, you know. Nobody's immune to anything, but we're lucky, and this is just how we've managed to deal with it. So again, like I keep saying, if my videos help somebody, fantastic. You know, that's what it's all about. And again, like I've said, it's really good for me to get it off my chest. You know, yesterday was quite hard for me. It's very hard to see my grandma deteriorating like she is, and so quickly, and I feel guilty that I don't get to see her much. And in one aspect of that, I think I'm a little bit selfish because I don't want to see her and remember her like that. So it's hard. I've got to try and find a balance again, but I'm working a lot. As we're here now, I've got to provide. So it's hard. Like I said, it's hard keeping the balance right. And it has affected me seeing her like that yesterday, bless her. But it was nice that it was in a positive setting and something that I'll remember, you know. So yeah, thank you everyone for listening. Thank you everyone for liking, sharing. I hope you are sharing. Not that I'll know, but I hope you are. And to all of my subscribers, thank you very much. Like, it does mean the world to me. What I'd like is, I'd love to get to 50 and hit that milestone, because if I can keep slowly climbing these milestones and ticking things off, happy days. My first proper video is nearly on 180 views, which is fantastic. If that can get to 200, I'll be buzzing. My shorts do all right in the grand scheme of things, and I'm just going to keep plugging away. That's all I can do, is just keep on cracking on. If you visit my link tree, I have got a Just Giving page on there. Any donations, in case you're wondering, I'm just going to put all on promotion. I can promote YouTube videos, TikTok, things like that, all just trying to get my platform out there and beyond. So yeah, in case you're wondering, that's what it's going to be spent on. So yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate everything and you guys and all your time. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'm sorry again the video's late, but enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you very much. Take care, guys. Peace out.